Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me here on Wave Now. I'm Myra Ansari. Busy day. We are going live to a press conference that the mayor is having with other city leaders to talk about My Louisville Home, which is a housing strategy outlining significant investment and policy actions to spur affordable housing developments across the city. Let's listen in.
And so that's why every 5 years, Metro government and the Louisville Affordable Housing Trust Fund have released the Housing Needs Assessment. It's an in-depth report on the state of housing and availability and affordability in our city. It provides important information and data and analysis about our city with respect to housing, the trends that we're seeing, and what our most urgent priorities are. The last edition came out in 2019, so it's time for us to do one again, and today we're releasing the 2024 edition. There are many details in the report which will be fully available online, but here are some of the key takeaways. The good news is there are signs of progress that we're seeing, and that's encouraging. But we still have a long, long way to go because the demand for affordable housing is growing so rapidly. For example, the percentage of people in Louisville who are spending 30% or more on their income went down. It went down from 29% to 25%. So that's good, but we need much, much more progress. Having 1/4 of our population spending that much on their housing is simply unacceptable. So we have to build on the progress that we're making and bring that percentage down much further. We also saw a significant increase in the number of housing units that are affordable for our lowest income residents, an increase of more than 18,000 housing units available to people at the lowest income levels. That increase is due to a combination of factors, including some new construction, as well as existing housing and apartments that are now priced such that they're affordable. Again, that increase is great news. The challenge is that the demand is even greater. One important housing metric is the level of unmet need for affordable housing. And in the last 5 years, even as more homes have become affordable that we just discussed, the unmet need has grown. It was 31,000. Now it's up to 36,000 units of affordable housing needed for the lowest income Louisvillians. We need to help build more housing to address that need. Housing is such a critical factor in so many ways, including for our economy, because we want the people who work for our businesses in every job at every income level to be able to afford a safe, stable home for them and their families. The new Housing Needs Assessment makes it clear that we have to move with an even greater urgency than we've been talking about to provide more affordable housing for folks in Louisville. And that's why I'm so pleased to announce that today we're also releasing something else. We're releasing the final version of the My Louisville Home Housing Strategy. A few months ago in October, we released the draft of this plan, which we developed with input from folks like Christy McGravy of the Affordable Housing Trust Fund, who you'll hear from a moment, as well as public input and folks across the entire city. Since we released this draft in October, we've taken a lot of public comment, and we've listened, and we've learned, and we've updated the plan accordingly. And we're going to hear from one of our partners who provided some of that input today. The heart of the My Louisville Home Plan is the same as we released in October. It's an ambitious, first-of-its-kind strategy to create and preserve 15,000 units of affordable housing all across our city. As part of that, we're working to make our Affordable Housing Trust Fund a permanent revolving loan fund. We're working with the state legislature and Metro Council on necessary updates to state laws and local zoning ordinances. On the state side, those conversations have been good. And whatever the results of this session, our conversations will continue, even if there's not immediate progress now. And I think that there's real optimism, real cause for optimism as we move into the future to get support from the state for our affordable housing needs here in Louisville. And on the Metro Council side, you'll hear from 2 Metro Council members in a minute. I appreciate all of their hard work, their thought, their collaboration, their conversations, their partnerships with our administration to address this critical issue. As I announced yesterday, our Office of Planning took another step in the right direction in its land development code reform efforts. Following 2 years of research and community conversations, the Office of Planning released new draft regulations that would allow small-scale multifamily housing, commonly known as middle housing, to be constructed on properties that are currently zoned for single-family homes. This is not yet. This is not talking about building new 200-unit buildings on single-family home lots or 5-story buildings on single-family home lots, although we need those too. But when we talk about middle housing, we're talking about duplexes, triplexes, fourplexes, townhomes, cottage courts. We're talking about new types of single-family housing that people are looking for. These are the exact same types of housing that you already find in many of Louisville's older neighborhoods, in some of Louisville's most vibrant, historic neighborhoods, where people from all different income levels, where families of all types live together in vibrant, thriving neighborhoods. We want to give those opportunities to our entire city. And yet another sign of progress in housing, last year, in our My Louisville Home Plan, we highlighted the need to attract modular home construction companies to Louisville to build more types of housing right here in Louisville. And I was thrilled last month when Governor Beshear joined many of us to welcome MMY US, a modular home construction company, to Louisville. This is its first operation in the United States, and it can produce up to 500 housing units a year at its new facility from the Parkland neighborhood. This was a great job creator for a Parkland neighborhood, a great economic development win for the Parkland neighborhood, and it's going to be a great win for housing across our entire city. So these are just some of the initial impacts that we're already seeing, that we're already doing to implement the strategies in the My Louisville Home Plan as quickly as possible, because we have no time to wait, because everyone in Louisville needs a place to live, and our city needs more people to live, more places for them to live. And so we all need to continue to work together to make sure that there is affordable housing in every neighborhood in Louisville, not just in other people's neighborhoods. That's right. Every neighborhood in Louisville needs affordable housing. So let's continue to seize this momentum, and let's continue to work to make that happen. Let's be bold. Let's think big. Let's move fast, and let's work together to make the progress that we need for the people of Louisville. We are going to make this happen. So now I want you to hear from some of the partners in all of this work. First, someone who I've already mentioned, a great partner to me, to our administration, to the entire city, someone who dedicates their life to helping build more affordable housing units across our entire city. And that is Christy McGravy, the Executive Director of the Louisville Affordable Housing Trust Fund. Christy?
So good morning. As he said, I'm Christy McGravy, and I am the Executive Director of the Louisville Affordable Housing Trust Fund. And on behalf of the staff, Board of Directors, and stakeholders of the Trust Fund, thank you for coming out this morning to better understand the housing needs of our community. We know that today's report takes a deep dive into the housing climate of our community, the good, the bad, and the ugly. After years of delay in funding quality, affordable housing for vulnerable families, coupled with all of the negatives resulting from the pandemic, all of this has us playing catch up in providing the types of housing our friends and family need. The good news is that we can celebrate some successes. The investments made into the trust fund, among others, have resulted in the allocation of more than 5,600 units of housing. Yes, 5,600. Of which, and this is a good part, nearly are actually, coupled with others, more than 1,000 are dedicated for households at 30% AMI or less. So that's good. So what does that mean? A family of 4 living on less than $30,000 a year can have hope. Our city's investments, along with just being aware of the problem, are the reasons some of the data has improved. We must always remember the people, real men, women, boys, and girls They are at the end of these numbers, and they need us to do more. We owe them the opportunity to have affordable housing choice across our entire community. Why? Because every area of our community has jobs that pay less than a living wage. So we need housing to fit their budgets too. I saw a quote on social media the other day that said something like, the fact that we even have a category for people called the working poor explains a lot. So yes, we have more work to do, but I am thankful that we have made some progress. We now know what to do, how to do it, and we welcome new ideas and partners who are willing to get the work done. We need more programs like Revert, which you're going to hear a little bit about later, which assist those whose families achieve affordable. We need more programs like Revert, which assist those families whose families have achieved affordable home ownership, even though their past families were impacted by redlining practices. We need flexibility in zoning to allow missing middle and other housing models to move forward with fewer hurdles and full community support. So as I conclude, think about this. Did you know that it takes about 7 to 8 months to build a house? And it takes an average of 2 years or more to build a large multifamily complex. So given that it takes developers years to envision a project, secure funding, site control, overcome community and other obstacles, and then put a shovel in the ground, the findings of this report are not a surprise. We must always remember that there are real people behind every number, and each one of them deserves a safe, decent, affordable place to live.
Thank you so much, Christy, for everything that you and all of your colleagues at the Louisville Affordable Housing Trust Funds are doing. And let me also say thanks to everyone who came out today. I think the fact that we have so many people here today that are here to support our affordable housing initiatives is just reflective of how important this is for our entire city. And I know that our administration will not forget it, and I know that our Metro Council friends also will not. And we'll tell the other 23 members of Metro Council how many people here also, so that they too. Is what? Oh, you got another one? Oh, it's easy court. Councilman Arthur, how are you? Oh, there you are, back there. That we'll tell the other 22 colleagues how important it is, as I think they already know. As I mentioned earlier, I think part of this, doing this work right, means listening to people who've experienced our community's needs for more affordable housing firsthand. Their perspective is incredibly important, and I appreciate and respect folks like our next speaker who are willing to share their stories. I'm going to introduce to you Hope Turner. Hope is a single mom and a former Family Scholar House resident. She was able to access Louisville Metro's down payment assistance program, the Housing Authority's Section 8 homeownership program, and the trust fund's Revert program that you just heard Christy talk about, to purchase a home in the Park Duval neighborhood where she now lives with her children. Hope is a wonderful living example of how, when programs are put in place, we can truly help families thrive and have the foundation to pursue their hopes and dreams. Please join me in welcoming Hope Turner.
Hi, everyone. 2019, I went through a really bad time in my life. I went through a bad separation from my ex-husband and a bad separation. When he walked out, basically it was my kids. I had a 2-year-old at the time and a 3-year-old. I was left with a mattress on the floor and a kitchen table. So I had a job, and before I got married, I was always on my own, so it was easier. But when I had kids, it was a different ballgame. I had to take care of my kids. No, by any means, I had to take care of my kids. It was my main focus. So I had ended up going to a shelter with my kids because I couldn't afford the apartment that I was in. I was working at the school board. I wasn't making a whole lot. I was spending $620 a month for daycare, and I still had to provide for food and everything else for my kids. So I ended up going to a shelter, and I probably was there, I don't know, maybe like 4 or 5 months. And I remember my pastor calling me, and she was like, Hope, somebody wants you to call them. And so I called the number. I didn't know what I was calling, and I called, and I thank God. I had got the resilience program through Metro. They told me to bring IDs, birth certificates. Like I said, I still didn't know I was going to. When I got there, it was a folder on the table. It was a voucher for me to get a place for my kids. And I was so blessed and so honored because I didn't know what I was going to do with my kids. You know, my mom died when I was 15. I lost my dad in 2014. So it was very hard for me because I didn't have nobody but my kids. And I wasn't going to let my kids go to no system, nothing. I was going to make sure that I took care of my children. And that's exactly what I did. So I got into the resilience program. I found the apartment. And they paid my rent for the first 6 months. And after that, it got deducted by $50 every month. So by the time that year was up, COVID hit. And we had got a couple stimulus checks. I was able to take them checks, fix my credit, and save up money to pay up bills and put money up aside for like a rainy day. After I got out that program, I got accepted to the Family Scholar House. I was there for 3 years. Last year, I graduated with my associate degree in medical assistant. And then after that, I applied for the homeownership program through Section 8. I was blessed I got approved for that. And after that, I was able to buy my home December 23rd last year. Not only that, I also got approved for the Revert program, and I got approved for down payment assistance. Down payment assistance assisted me with $18,500, and it was such a blessing. I was able to buy me a house for me and my children. They have their own rooms, so it's just a blessing. I stand here today because not only that, I'm a survivor of domestic violence. So not only losing my parents, I was a single mom, and I didn't know A to Z, like I said, when he walked out. So I'm very blessed and honored for all the programs that I use. I use it as a stepping stone to better myself because I wanted better for my kids. I wanted to have generational wealth for my children. So when they get older and they go through some situations I might go, they got a house they can always go home to. They ain't got to worry about they ain't got to worry about, oh, I don't know where I'm going to live. I made sure that I better myself. So when my kids get older, they can look back at mom. I named my kids purposely Blessing and Faith because I had to have the faith to believe that I could have kids when they told me that I couldn't. I had to have the faith to believe that no matter what I went through, God was going to bring me through, and God did just that. God has protected me and my children. He has provided for me and my kids. Me and my kids, ever since 2019, we haven't wanted for anything. God has opened doors for me and my kids, and I'm so blessed for all of these programs. You know, they told me that I wasn't going to be nothing. They told me that I couldn't speak. They told me that me and my kids, we was just going to be nothing. But God turned that around. I'm 44, and I'm so blessed to be a homeowner. And I grew up in the West End and be a homeowner in the West End where I grew up at. So I'm just so blessed and so honored. And I appreciate all of y'all.
That's what it's all about. We often are talking about numbers, but as Christy was saying, as you just heard from Hope, it's not about numbers. It's about people. It's about helping people like Hope and her family, and that's why we can and we must do more. I also mentioned earlier that we got a lot of comments from out in the community after we released the first draft of My Louisville Home Plan in October. And our next speaker is part of that group that we heard from through that process. She helped us incorporate co-housing into the final version of the My Louisville Home Plan. So please help me welcome Matilda Berthy. She's co-housing architectural designer at Studio Cohab. Matilda, please join us.
Thanks. So as you just heard, my name is Mathilde Bert, and I'm the co-founder of Studio Cohab, which is an architecture firm specialized in co-housing. And with the support of the nonprofit Mattingly Edge and housing consultant Donna Reinhardt, I've been helping a group of citizens get organized to create their co-housing community here in Louisville. Co-housing is an intentional, collaborative neighborhood where people know and care for each other. It combines the autonomy of compact private homes with the benefit of shared spacious common amenities. The common house is the heart of the community. It typically includes a large dining room, a kitchen, kids' playroom, guest rooms, and gardens. The future residents are integral to the design and development of the community. Co-housing neighborhoods tend to offer a sustainable and pedestrian-oriented design. The group Louisville Co-housing wants to create a 25 to 35 units intergenerational co-housing community. Matigny Edge has been helping them with their efforts and wants to own a couple of units to serve adults with disabilities. Because the development process does not alone generate below-market house pricing, we are excited to be exploring ways to partner with the City of Louisville to make this co-housing project financially accessible to a diverse group of Louisvillians. When we heard about the My Louisville Home Plan, we organized a grassroots effort to engage with the city. We recognize the initiative's unique potential to enhance housing affordability in Louisville, including by supporting community-based housing. We are pleased to find an enthusiastic partner in Marilyn Harris, who invited us to share how co-housing has been an important and successful piece of the housing strategy in other cities. Embracing this strategy, the city incorporated co-housing into the My Louisville Home Plan. We are thrilled that we, as a group of citizens, had the opportunity to help the city craft a robust and effective plan, and we are equally excited to continue to partner with them through the implementation process. On April 9th at 6 p.m. in the main public library, we are hosting a public presentation to explain what co-housing is and invite anyone interested in joining the forming community. Come learn more about co-housing, invite all your friends and family to our presentation on the 9th, and let's get it built. You can also reach out to us by sending an email to louisvillecoho@gmail.com or by following us on social media at Louisville Co-housing. One more time, it's on April 9th at 6 p.m. in the main public library. See you there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. There are all sorts of new types of housing that as we move forward in the world that people are wanting to live in. And as you heard here, another type of living opportunity in co-housing. This is the type of opportunity, of housing opportunities, diverse housing opportunities that we must support, that we must make easier and more affordable across our entire city. Because the world is changing. We need to keep up with that. We need to facilitate change and provide lots of different housing options for the wide variety of folks across our entire city that are looking for different housing options for them and their families. To do all this takes a lot of things. It certainly takes money, it takes commitment, it takes hard work, and it takes a good zoning code as well that facilitates and makes it easy to develop more housing in all parts of our city. We cannot do this alone. We need the help of the entire community, many of which you are here today. We need our focus from our administration, and we also need the support of our friends on Metro Council, who has supported affordable housing over the past year through investments, record investments in the Louisville Affordable Housing Trust Fund, and also with respect to zoning issues, whether individual projects or approach to zoning overall. And that's why I'm so excited that just recently, Metro Council President Marcus Winkler announced a new ad hoc land use committee. This is a committee that is just getting started and is going to be looking at our approach to land use over the entire city. And I believe, as you'll hear in a moment, they're going to be focused on this same issue of housing, and in particular, affordable housing. So next, I'd like to introduce another champion for affordable housing across our city, and that is Councilman Andrew Owen, who chairs the Ad Hoc Land Use Committee of Metro Council. Councilman Owen?
So some of you may not know that in another lifetime, after taking this quick detour through Capitol Hill, my first job out of college was working for an affordable housing developer. And I continued partnering with nonprofit organizations and helping build affordable housing communities all across the country. And so because of that background, I think the mayor and President Winkler thought that I would be a good fit to chair the Ad Hoc Land Use Committee. And I'm really excited about the opportunities that we have. So the way I see our committee is that this housing needs assessment is our charge. How do we make changes to our land development code, regulations, that sort of thing, to make sure that as a community, we can fill the gap of the deficit of affordable housing that we have in this community. It's as simple as that. The other thing I would say is there are other examples of communities around the country that have these same issues. So one of the things that we will be doing in our committee is learning from other cities, finding out what they're doing right, things that have worked for them or maybe didn't work for them, so we won't make the same mistakes. But I really do think it's an opportunity for us to really, between the mayor's office and the council, I think we finally have two groups that are focused on making sure that we get this done. And I think that has not always been the case. So I think it's an exciting time. I think together with the mayor's office, with the committee, with my chairperson, Councilwoman Batshon, we can make some changes, focus on 2 or 3 things: inclusionary zoning potentially, which is exciting, middle housing, which is really exciting, and a couple of other small changes, streamlining the process where we can try to help fill this deficit of affordable housing. So I'm excited to get started, and thank you, Mayor.
Thank you so much, Councilman Owen. Our final speaker is another fierce advocate for affordable housing, someone who has lived experiences and can talk from those personal experiences that she has had, and continues to be a strong advocate for affordable housing for everyone across our entire city. She too is a member of the council's ad hoc land use committee, and I know through that committee and elsewhere, our next speaker will continue to advocate for more affordable housing. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Councilwoman Shamika Parrish-Wright.
Good morning, and thank you. I am honored to be here today. I believe the My Louisville Home Plan and the Housing Needs Assessment will do what we need to do if we put the work into it. If we dedicate it and we make sure that we check on these things. We make sure that there's quarterly updates on how things are going, and we continue to educate and bring the community in at every level. I am excited today. Today, my third daughter is 25 years old. She is a master's student of psychology at Indiana Southeast University. And I just remember that years ago, we were all homeless while she navigated high school. I moved here in the early 2000s with hopes and dreams to finish college and to start my own nonprofit. I started working for the nonprofits and decided, no, I don't want to do that. I want to help them be better, but that it was important that my community and my people know that there is pathways and that home ownership helps build stability. Hope's story is so inspiring, and there's so many touch points in my life that I've seen. I've been homeless in Louisville 2 times, in the early 2000s and 2002. In 2014, when I left Miami, Florida, left my husband, came back here because my father was dying. Many people come back home, or many people move because of family needs. And when I came back, I found myself homeless again. I was embarrassed. I sat on boards and on commissions with people who own their homes, and I was the poorest person there. But what I represented is what many Louisvillians represent. Every other Louisvillian you meet might have had a similar story or a different story that got them here. Tomorrow, I head to DC for unhoused convening. Next month, I head before the Supreme Court on a case that is dealing with our unhoused community. Homelessness is one of the primary struggles in our community, and it is broad and far-reaching. While homelessness has varied causes and can look different for different people, the main cause is poverty. That is my story as Executive Director of Vocal Kentucky and now newly elected Louisville Metro Councilwoman for District 3. Homelessness is often caused by compounding of problems like poverty and drug use and/or mental health issues. We have a crisis all over our nation, all over our state, and all over our city. I know because my direct lived experience and because I have family members with mental illness who are chronically housing insecure. Countless studies and reports show time and time again that housing insecurity is getting worse, and there are no signs of it slowing anytime soon. So we must work together. Bureaucracies matter. It matters that we work together. No matter what our housing plan is, it must include both short-term, like expanded rental assistance, and long-term, like mixed-use buildings and middle housing solutions that have been mentioned here today. Our housing plan must clearly define what affordable housing is. When households do not spend more than 30% of their income on housing costs, including utilities, it is considered affordable. Therefore, affordable housing looks different for households earning six-figure annual salaries than households earning only minimum wage. We must also prioritize a process to ensure tenants are provided for healthy, clean, dry, pest-free living conditions. And that's why you see the emergence of tenants unions, because a lot of times renters are left out of the equation, but renters also contribute to our society. Any effective housing plan will have strong, measurable, clearly enforceable guardrails for landlords, while our housing plan must also include expansive pathways to home ownership. We must not forget that renters contribute as much as homeowners, and that homeowners matter. Pathways to home ownership, seniors being able to age in place, and people are able to access the care, the services, and the things that they need. Our housing solutions need to speak to urban, suburban, and rural populations. Like I have always said, we are all in a both-and situation right now. This is the period, and we must address housing the same way. Across the country, large swaths of populations are suffering under depressed wages, poor health, extreme inflation from necessities like groceries, and a failed drug war that exacerbates the existing struggles. Louisville is no different. Our housing plan must meet the needs of all people, including those battling chronic poverty, those experiencing substance use disorder, those with disabilities, and those who've recently been released from incarceration. All these people, all of our neighbors, cousins, friends, peers, teachers, mentors, and so many others need housing to ensure the safety and the stability in their life. A rising tide of lifts all boats, so broad systemic solutions not only help people impacted by poverty, but the whole community. We want to emphasize that providing quality, stable housing is the first step to addressing poverty, substance use disorder, mental illness, and so much more. We know housing first approach works. We see it work. We see it with Hope. We see it with myself. But because our neighbors, co-workers, community leaders, and service providers have experienced a myriad of issues and continue to experience the success of Housing First, we know that we need to work together. I am honored to be able to work with the mayor and the administration to do that. As our unhoused community grows, we need targeted solutions that ensure seniors can age in place, as I said before, young people can have home ownership opportunities, and formerly incarcerated people can truly be reintegrated. Because our diverse population, our housing plan needs to include middle housing and things like duplexes and ADUs. And the only options are not only high rent and unattainable single family homes, but we must make sure that they meet all of the needs. And I've talked to Marilyn today, and she said there's still a great need for up to 50% AMI. Is that correct? We must, as metro government, community advocates, religious organizations, and neighbors work together to reduce the barriers to accessing affordable, sustainable, and adequate housing for all. Otherwise, no plan will work. Every day we are laying the groundwork to do better together. Let's invest in people. Housing First means house everyone, no matter their station in life or zip code. Just 6 years ago, I was on Section 8. Just 6 years ago. And years before that, I was unhoused. And now myself and my 6 kids and my 4 grandkids are building the stability that we all want. That American dream looks different now, but it is attainable if we work together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilwoman Parrish Wright. I also just want a quick recognition. I think she had to leave, but I wanted to give a shout out to our amazing new director of Louisville Metro Housing Authority. Oh, there she is back there, Elizabeth Strojan, who has gotten right to work, who is dealing with a lot of challenges. We will be candid and transparent about that at Louisville Metro Housing Authority with both the Section 8 program, as she just talked about yesterday, and also with some of our aging existing housing stock. We have an amazing new leader of that organization who is committed to ensuring that every resident of LMHA has quality, safe, affordable housing in all of our projects, and that we improve the current conditions and that we find ways to build new and improved units for our residents who live in LMHA units and who are getting vouchers through the Section 8 program. Thank you, Elizabeth, for coming back home to Louisville. We look forward to working with you. We look forward to working with everyone here today. We need a lot of partners. This is an ambitious, big, bold strategy. We want to build 15,000 new units of affordable housing in the coming years. And even when we do that, there will still be more to do. So we've got to take every day. We have to make progress. And together, by building more affordable housing across our entire city, we will make Louisville a safer, stronger, and healthier community. Thank you all very much. And we're happy to take just a few questions. I know we're running late.
Mayor, how many affordable units are under construction right now?
We can get you that information. I don't have that exact number.
Mayor, last year in the metro area, there were just 3,700 multifamily units started in the entire metro area. And that goes up to 6,800 when you include overall with single family included. That's not affordable, that's just overall.
Right.
So how is it realistic to think that you guys can close this gap anytime soon with those housing start numbers?
We have to do things way different than we've done them in the past, which is what we have to do on a lot of different areas in our city. As we approach violent crime and reducing violent crime, as we come to educating our children and making universal pre-K a reality, just as the same case with affordable housing. We have to do things differently. And I think those numbers, they are weak, they are anemic. We have to do things differently. And that's why I'm so proud and excited that we have 4 members of Metro Council here today. And I know there are many others that also think this is a key priority, because we have to have a land development code that makes building housing easier, makes building housing affordable. That has to be the case for Louisville. And so working with the new committee that you just heard of and working with the entire Metro Council, I am confident that we can collectively change the way that the city has worked with the private sector, nonprofit and for-profit developers alike, to make building more affordable housing in Louisville easier and more embraced by the city. It's absolutely critical to our future. One more question. Wait, hold on, from the media here first.
You mentioned middle housing amendment in terms of, a way to kind of close that gap of affordable housing, but of course, independent cities can choose whether to adopt that regulation. What kinds of conversations have you been having with the leaders of those communities about middle housing and possibly incorporating that into their own zoning?
Yeah, so we are very active. Our administration is now working very closely with the other home rule cities throughout Jefferson County. And they have heard me say, they have heard my colleagues say many times that we need more affordable housing in every neighborhood, not just in other people's neighborhoods. So they are aware that we need their help as well. We need affordable housing in the East End, in the West End, in the South End, right here in the middle of our city, and every neighborhood in between. We hope that they're partners with us to help make this happen. Thank you all very much. I'll come answer your question right now. Thank you guys very much.